Shoutouts in this video for everybody on Patreon who told me that I haven't been giving enough love to Mono Blue. This one's for y'all. Yo, what's good, Spirit Squad? A couple of weeks ago, we put an article out on Patreon that's free called Ballin on a Budget, because that's exactly what Mono Blue Spirits does in both Pioneer and Explorer. You get to play this deck that's really competitive. By really competitive, I mean it's probably got the third best win rate in all of Pioneer, only behind Azorius Spirits and Rakdos Sacrifice. This deck wins at about 53% clip, which is absolutely absurd, especially when you consider that this deck can be bought for $30 or so on Magic Online and under $100 IRL. So this is a seriously great value. Today we'll go over what the deck looks like, and then we'll play a few rounds with it so that y'all can see exactly how it works. So the highlight to Mono Blue Spirits is, of course, the Spirits. And we've got about 26 creatures, all of which are going to be really sick. We've got 4 copies of Ascendant Spirit, a 1-drop that goes from medium to really scary in the late game, because you can put mana into it and eventually turn it from a 2/3 to a 4/4 flyer to even bigger. Mausoleum Wanderer serves as a really aggressive creature, but also a counterspell, since you can sacrifice it to counter any instant or sorcery, unless they pay X where X is its power. And thanks to things like Supreme Phantom making your spirits bigger, that's not always one, so good luck, opponents. The last 1-drop here is going to be Spectral Sailor, a surprisingly good flash threat that can also draw cards if you find yourself in a really late game scenario. We've got Rattle Chains, which gives your entire creature suite flash, but also when it enters the battlefield, it gives one of our friends hexproof. That comes up a lot against decks like Rakdos Midrange that play tons of removal. Shacklegeist is a deceptively powerful 2/2, where you can tap 2 of your spirits to tap 1 of their creatures. And this comes up a lot, tapping everything from Llanowar Elves to giant reach creatures to really aggressive things that can sometimes outpace you. Shacklegeist is basically opposition. The last creature we've got here is Nebelgast Herald. It's a 3-drop, which is a bit expensive for this deck, but every single time a spirit comes into play under your control, you get to tap 1 of their creatures, and that's pretty game-changing. The supporting cast here is going to be 4 copies of Curious Obsession. Since all of our creatures, other than Ascendant Spirit, fly, it's very easy to connect combat damage with your opponent and get some cards drawn in your hand. We've also got a lot of protective spells and counter spells. 4 copies of Geistlight Snare are going to be the go-to here, because it's basically mana leak, but if you have both a spirit and an enchantment, it's a 1-mana mana leak. And speaking of mana leak, let's go to Mana Beak, which is where Lofty Denial comes in. Normally it's just a 4 spike that costs 2, which is not that impressive, but if you have a flyer, and our entire deck flies, then you counterspell unless they pay 4, which is pretty absurd. And the last spell here is going to be Slip Out the Back. Just protect yourselves from a removal, but since it phases out, that also includes really scary stuff, like Supreme Verdict from blue-white control decks. Our mana base is absurdly simple. 19 snow-covered islands, because we want Faceless Haven as our creature land of choice. It's a 4/3 with Vigilance and all creature types, hint, Spirit, and it needs snow mana to work. That's where the snow-covered islands come in. Part 2 is that Ascendant Spirit only levels up with snow mana. So we're not going to complicate our mana base by putting anything other than snowlands. So we've got this really nice little bit of snow here to play with. Our sideboard is kind of all over the place, because as a tempo deck, you don't have exactly one job in the format. Sometimes you need to play a bit patiently and protect your creatures from removal. That's where additional cards like Shore Up come in, where you can give your creature hexproof. Sometimes your opponents are really aggressive, and to deal with that, you have things like Nebelgast Herald on top of the 2 in the main to provide additional tapping of creatures, or Witness Protection to turn a big scary thing into a not so scary 1/1. There's a lot of decks that also go bigger than us. That means that control decks, we have Mystical Dispute to help deal with things like that, and Record and Bankbuster helps us keep up on cards against things like Control, Rakdos Midrange, Omnath piles, and really anything else that just tries to outgrind you. The last thing here is going to be copies of Aether Gust. Aether Gust's primary job is going to be against a deck like mono green Devotion that just plays giant green things and quite frankly gets really scary really quickly. But it's also pretty good against just about anything with red cards in it. So now that we've gone over the deck and we know what it looks like, let's jump right into some gameplay. Today's video brought to you by FusionGamingOnline.com, your one-stop shop for all your gaming needs. Okay, so our first round of gameplay is here, and we're on the play, which is exciting, and holy shit, this hand is great. So we've got 2 lands, a Mausoleum Wanderer, a Curious Obsession to put onto the Wanderer on turn 2, and a Slip out the back to protect our friend from removal. We are absolutely keeping this hand. And then, if we get to go into turn 3 with our creature still intact, we have the choice of Rattlechains and Shacklegeist depending on what our opponent's playing. So overall, pretty happy, unless they kill this right now. They don't. But they did leave this open, which means I am a little concerned about a Spell Pierce, maybe? Here's what I'll do. In case this is a Spell Pierce, screw it. If they have Spell Pierce, they have Spell Pierce. We're just going to make them have it. Okay, so it is in fact a Spell Pierce. You got it. So we could have played around that a little bit by playing like Shacklegeist first here. But I don't actually mind the fact that they shocked in 2 damage to do that. Had a Spell Pierce here. Glacial Fortress means that they're playing blue-white control, not any kind of, whoa, okay, Glacial Fortress in Mausoleum Wanderer. I don't like that from our opponent. But, okay, at least we have a better idea of what's happening here. So we're going to go ahead and resolve our Shacklegeist right now, because it's going to be really important to tap our opponent's creatures here. And I am definitely not going to attack into this, even though I have a 2/2 to their 1/1. What I want instead is my Shacklegeist's ability to protect ourselves from a copy of Curious Obsession coming down. So if they Curious Obsession one of their creatures, I can tap that creature. Deserted Beach? Whoa, okay. We're doing stuff. Are we attacking it all? We're not. So I'm going to go ahead and tap down the Mausoleum Wanderer, and I'm going to tap down the Wanderer instead of the Spectral Sailor, because the Mausoleum Wanderer will grow if they put another spirit in play, but a Spectral Sailor doesn't have that ability. So here I'm going to do this, and I am simply going to cast my Ascendant Spirit. So this way, if they have a Spell Queller here, then at least I'm aware of it. And if they have, oh, they don't have a Spell Queller. That's pretty good for us. Here I am going to attack my Mausoleum Wanderer. So the reason I'm attacking now, and I didn't want to before, this is tapped first of all, but also if they put in a Spell Queller with their 3 mana to try to get a surprise block on me, what I can do is put in my Rattlechains, pump this up to a 3/3, and use it to block. So let's see what ends up actually happening. And looks like the answer is going to be nothing, so I am not unhappy about that. What happens here? There's a Rattlechains. That's fine. You got it. So now they're going to give something hexproof, but I didn't plan on doing anything to their stuff anyway. Now they untap, and what do we have? Another land. That's not a bad island choice. Deserted Beach, Glacial Fortress. What is happening with their mana base? Neither of these are usual inclusions in Spirit's decks, which is why I'm a little bit confused. These 2 lands being in their deck tells me that I believe their deck wants to go for a bit of a longer game than a normal Spirits build, because this doesn't come in untapped unless you already have 2 other lands in play, but most Spirits decks usually want to function with only 1 or 2, 3 lands in play tops most of the time. Like, I'm fairly happy with these 3 lands. So this tells me that my opponent is probably up to some nonsense. So I'll use so they use that opportunity to resolve their Shacklegeist. I'm actually okay with that because I already didn't have a counterspell for the Shacklegeist anyway. So a Curious Obsession here is actually not great. So what do I want to do with this turn? Okay, I think what I want to do is I have 2 cards in hand. I have a few options. I can attack with only Ascendant Spirits, and Shacklegeist can't block it as a non-flyer. And if they try to get cute with their blocks, then I can pump it up to a 4/4, and I win most combat, even though this started as a 2/3. I can hold up mana and try to Nebelgast Herald before they have the mana for something like a... Actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cast my Nebelgast Herald now, before they have the opportunity to Spell Queller. Since they only have 2 mana available, neither Lofty Denial or Geistlight Snare is an option. So here they can tap down something if they really want to, like my Ascendant Spirit, and try to like block an attack, but I'm currently up on life total, and if I get this to go, then I'm still in a fairly happy place. So who are they tapping? They're tapping my Shacklegeist. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to tap down the the Mausoleum Wanderer with the Herald and the Shacklegeist. This way, I get a clean attack in for 4. If they want to play, like, I don't know, a Rattle Chains or something, so be it. But here, I'm up on life total now because of that. So let's see what they come up with this turn. If I have a Curious Obsession, then I am medium sad for like a turn, but I think we'll still be okay. Okay, so there is a Curious Obsession. So they can attack with this, draw a card. I finally go down to 18. They do have another land drop, 2 more cards. The other, oh, that's actually really good for me. So a land that can also attack is really important in this kind of matchup because I already don't necessarily want to be stuck dealing with, you know, things like Spell Queller. So what I'm actually going to do here is simply pass. I'm not going to put this on anything until I know it's a relatively safe attack because they have the Shacklegeist. So we're just going to pass here, see what they choose to do. If they just draw a card, so be it. You got me. Uh-oh, what are we doing? Are we just tapping? We're just tapping. That's fine. So that makes sense from them too. Supreme Phantom. That is actually unfortunate because I don't have a counterspell for it right now. And then they can use the Supreme Phantom in the Wanderer to tap another one of my friends. If they do that, then this is where I'm going to use Rattle Chains to protect from that tap ability because I do want to have exactly 4 creatures untapped so that I can use my Shacklegeist twice. Shackle twice? Shackle twice. I like that. So here's my Rattle Chains. I'm going to tap an unimportant creature because they're going to get to untap soon anyway, but more importantly, I'm going to protect my Mausoleum Wanderer from being tapped. So now they have a bigger board, but I have the Nebelgast Herald. So whatever creature comes out of my things next, I'm a little bit happier with, I think. Also importantly, I have the life lead. So now if they try to use Spectral Sailor plus something else to tap, I get to tap a 3rd friend. And looks like that's what's gonna happen here. Okay, so they try to tap my Nebelgast Herald. That's fine. So I'm going to use the Shacklegeist, tap down their Shacklegeist, tapping my 2 friends. Okay, so now that ability resolves. They can attack me for 5 if they want to, but realistically, they're probably going to hold blockers because they're low on life. Oh no. All right, we're brave. I'm going to go to 15. So now let's untap. Spectral Sailor is a surprisingly decent draw. So I'm going to put this on the Ascendant Spirit. Yeah, since this is the card they're least likely to be able to do anything about right now. If this is a Spell Queller, that's actually fine. Okay. So now I can attack with my Ascendant Spirit and threaten to level it up to a 4/4. Oh, wait a minute. How close to dead can I get them? I'm not even like using my brain cells here. So if I Spectral Sailor, tap this, and Mausoleum Wanderer, I can slip out the back this. That's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's not 11, which means I should not do that. So I'm actually just going to attack with my Ascendant Spirit then. There's almost no shot that they actually choose to block it because of the fact that I can just pay 3 mana into it and level it up to a 4/4. So this is a fairly free attack. Okay, so yes, they're going to take that. They're going to go to 9. And in their upkeep, I'm going to resolve my Spectral Sailor. So they can tap these to tap down one of my friends, but that's not that good because I'm still going to get to, in their upkeep, play Spectral Sailor, tap down their Spectral Sailor, prevent the Curious Obsession from hitting, and then I still have exactly 4 creatures in play. So that still feels pretty good for me, because 4 creatures means I can tap 2 of their friends. Okay, so they just let that happen. So now let's see what they draw, and if they want to move to combat or play anything pre-combat. Let's see what happens here. A Supreme Phantom, that's actually really good for them. So now let's not die. We're going to tap these 2 to tap their Spell Queller, that's their biggest creature, and we're going to tap the Shacklegeist using these 2. And if they really want to, they can attack for 4, 8, 10, 12, but that's not really going to be anywhere near good enough here. So let's see what, if anything, they want to attack with. Okay, they don't attack at all, which is really good for me. The Curious Obsession falls off, so I can stop worrying about that. And do I want to use a slip out the back for any reason? I believe the answer is no. Let's untap. Another Nebelgast Herald. That's also going to look really good for me. So that means that, once again, I'm going to do that in their upkeep because I just don't really need to press buttons. They're going to go ahead and be able to tap 2 of my creatures at the end of turn, but I'm less concerned with that than they are. Okay, they do get to draw a card. Can't do much about that. Okay, so now they're going to tap my Ascendant Spirit. Yep. And the other tap is going to go to where? My Rattle Chains. Okay. So now that we're in their upkeep, I'm going to cast my Nebelgast Herald and attempt to tap 2 of their creatures with it. The only downside is that they do have a card in hand, so if it's a counterspell, I'm kind of screwed. Okay, that's actually way better for me now, because now if they draw into a Lofty Denial or a Geistlight Snare, I can still use my Mausoleum Wanderer to both activate Shacklegeist and tap one of their friends. So I'm going to get to tap down to Spell Queller and the Shacklegeist. Again, their 2 biggest creatures. Now we move to their draw step, and let's see what happens here. I have 5 creatures, which means I can only tap 2 of their things right now, but I'm still feeling pretty happy about that. So let's move our friends to tap one of theirs. And I'm choosing the biggest creatures so that if I need to get a little spicy with the combat step, then it's at least okay for me. So now I want to use my Slip Out the Back on their Supreme Phantom. Oh, you know what I can do? I can use my Slip Out the Back on their Shacklegeist. That prevents them from being able to use it to tap. Let's do that. So if I do that and they pop Mausoleum Wanderer to protect it, so be it. Okay, they don't do that. And I draw an Ascendant Spirit. Sick. So now I get to tap 2 of their friends. Shacklegeist can use the Ascendant Spirit that just came in and a 1 power Spectral Sailor. Okay, yeah, I like that. So now let's tap this too, using you and the one that does have Summoning Sickness. And now we have a pretty awesome looking attack. Ooh, man, that was a long and scary matchup. Holy crap. So we want Mystical Disputes, and we also want Witness Protection. So the name of the game here, oh yeah, I have a 3rd Nebelgast Herald. That's nice. So the name of the game here really is just like, don't let your opponent develop Shacklegeist here, because as we saw, the person who was best able to do the tapping and untapping here ended up winning the game, and I don't want to walk myself into that same scenario, right? So Rattle Chains is actually like not great here, even though we can assume they probably put in Witness Protections as well. I don't really want Lofties against the deck with Mystical Disputes, and I'm going to take out 1 copy of Ascendant Spirit. So we're up a game at least, which is nice, but as you can see, this matchup is a tricky one. This hand is sketchy as shit. Go away. This is much better. So I'm going to keep this, put back one of the Faceless Havens here, and the CO is kind of useless for now, but I do have a Witness Protection, which is great against things like their potential copies of Shacklegeist. And see, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. So Deserted Beach coming in tapped on turn 1 is a huge detriment to most of their plans, right? Because now they didn't have the ability to play a Mausoleum Wanderer or a Spectral Sailor, or even lie to me and tell me that they were holding up like a Mystical Dispute. So if I had a Mausoleum Wanderer, I could have just resolved it and they didn't have anything to say about it. So I do get to Witness Protection their Shacklegeist, and honestly, that's pretty nice. But they can still put like a, okay, yep, look at that. They had the Wanderer, so they could have played that on turn 1, except for the fact that their mana wasn't what it needed to be to make that happen. So unfortunately for our opponent, they're just not going to really get to do the thing. So I have a couple of choices here. I can let them untap and potentially use a Spell Queller on my Nebelgast Herald, or I can tap 2 mana, play the Supreme Phantom, and basically cross my fingers for the next turn or 2, and I think that's actually a little bit better here. Letting them profitably use Spell Queller before I have access to things like Mystical Dispute, probably a great way to lose the game. Realist. Oh my god, it resolved. Oh, that was not on the list of things I expected to happen. This card resolving was just nowhere approaching my radar. Like, my entire plan has changed now that that card's actually resolved. Okay, so they do have the Mausoleum Wanderer. I'm gonna block this thing. Yes, I'm still gonna block. Okay, so the only reason I would choose to not block this card is because I do have a Spirit. This is an enchantment. That means that if I have a Geistlight Snare off the top of my deck here, then I could cast it for just 1 instead of having to have 2. And I actually think I'm going to line at him for a turn and tell them that I am holding a Geistlight Snare. Yeah, let's not block. I'll take the 3. And blocking this is just really, really sketchy right now because I only have this. I don't have any protection for it. And if it turns out they have a Spirit or something, then I'm just not going to get to block this profitably because it'll turn into a 3/3 and just kill my friend for free. So I'm going to use a Curious Obsession as a bit of a bait spell. If they have a counter spell for it, so be it. If they have a Spell Queller, then I'll be glad to put my Shacklegeist in play and kind of try from there. If this somehow just goes, even better. But I really don't see that happening with 3 mana up. Okay, so they did in fact have the Spell Queller. So I'm going to use that as a chance to resolve my Shacklegeist, and the Shacklegeist will be able to stop the Mausoleum Wanderer from doing its thing. So that feels pretty good. So here, since my Shacklegeist resolved, I'm not going to play around with this. I'm just going to do this. So if they decide they want to Rattle Chains and protect this, damn it, they had it. Then that does suck for me. They're just gonna get the lead here. And there's not really much I can do about it. Like, I've missed a land drop, and they're playing first. So it is what it is. So they get to draw a card. They're going to stay ahead of a little bit here. And maybe I get to draw a land. What a land does for me here, it allows me to put the CO on here and use the CO as a bait spell to resolve this. Or if the CO just resolves, I get to start doing that. But I'm at 10 life, and that's really scary. Another Supreme Phantom. Okay, let's do that and try to resolve the Supreme Phantom. I think that's a little more important. Nope, just gonna get to do that. Okay. So now what happens if I attack with just you? If I attack with just you, I think I just get to draw my card. I don't think they actually want to do anything to that, right? Let's see what happens. Okay. Oh, they're just throwing Rattle Chains away to stop me from drawing a card? Yeah, okay. I'm cool with that. Let's try to resolve this now. Again, highly doubt this is actually going to resolve, but if the first one resolved, then why would the second not, right? What? I'm very confused by the fact that these things resolved, but I will absolutely take it. A Spectral Sailor, you got it. So currently doing our best to snatch victory from, whoa, they shocked that in. So now they're at 16. Okay, so with 6 lands in play, they can activate this, draw something that costs 2, and make use of that. So that is something I want to be aware of as an option here. They do have a CO for that, but it's only a 3/4, so I don't actually care yet because I still have good blocks. So I'm just going to let them declare an attack or not. So I have a 4/4 that blocks their 3/3. Okay, that actually is a good attack from them. So I am going to block with my Supreme Phantom. It's not like they have anything that does 3 damage or anything. So that's fine by me. And the reason they attacked is because Curious Obsession at the end of a turn, if you didn't attack at all, these will fall off. But they did attack with their 1/1, so they get to keep that. So I'm going to tap their biggest creature, being the Spell Queller, and then untap and see what's up with either a land draw or... Oh, you know what? A Spectral Sailor is actually not bad. So I'm going to put a stop in their upkeep here, because if I don't draw anything useful with the Supreme Phantom attack here, then I might try to just resolve my Nebelgast Herald. So let's see if they just like throw away the Spectral Sailor. Okay, we're going to draw a card first. I think I agree with that decision, if that's all they're planning on doing anyway. Nope, I'm going to get to draw. Feels good. And it's a land! Let's go! All right. Things are coming up, Dre, looks like. So I'm going to start by casting Nebelgast Herald. Now let's see if that resolves before they actually get a draw step. It's going to resolve and they pack it up. Let's go, Tappers. All right, round 1 over. Ooh, second round of gameplay. We are on the play with another 2-lander that doesn't even look bad. All right, I'm in for this. So we get to start off with our Ascendant Spirit, and if we draw a Curious Obsession, we can protect it with our Mausoleum Wanderer, which is why I don't want to play it first. Opponent's got Narset Sleeve, so hopefully they don't actually resolve one of those against us, because if we draw a CO, that would stop us from drawing the cards, and I don't want that. So hopefully they're, you know, not blue-white control sleeves. And they definitely are blue-white control sleeves. Oh, they're always blue-white control sleeves. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and attack here. And I am not going to do anything else. So if they decide to try to portable hole this, I can protect it with Rattle Chains. If they do nothing here, then I can simply level it up and threaten more damage. Ooh, and we drew the 3rd land, which is nice. So I'm going to go ahead and attack for 2 here. And I am not going to walk ourselves into a card like Temporary Lockdown. So I don't want to play anything like the second Ascended Spirit or Shacklegeist first. I'm just going to like kind of let this rock. And since it's the end step now, I'm going to make it a 4/4, see if they have like a March of Otherworldly Light or something. And it looks like that's exactly what's happening. It is. So now we get to untap, and ooh, that's nice. So I'm just going to present another Ascended Spirit. Don't really need to get too rowdy with putting out a bunch of creatures at once, because I don't want to just like walk ourselves into something crazy like a Supreme Verdict. Do I bother with pumping? Yes. So if they have another March or something, so be it. If they don't, then I have a 2/3. Okay, that's fine. I have a 2/3 that can fade something like a Shark Typhoon being able to cycle for 2 and then block. So, but the Shark Typhoon is something that I want to be a little cognizant of. I want to make sure that we're not just walking into that for free. So now let's put the CO on, start to draw. And the good part about specifically doing it like this is that now it's a 3/4. So even with the land drop, the land is helpful. Even with the land drop, now we still don't have to worry about a shark being cycled for 3 and being able to block this because, well, not a thing. If they try to resolve like a Teferi and tuck this, then I can just protect it with Rattle Chains. If they do nothing, I believe I will also do nothing. Yeah, untap. Another CO. So things I want to play around at least little. I want to play around Settle the Wreckage. So I'm going to play Mausoleum Wanderer first to play around that, just in case they have it in the main. Blue-white almost never plays it in the main, but just in case. So let's go ahead and get an attack on here. Wandering Emperor. Okay, so that is annoying since they're going to get to tick down, but I have the Rattle Chain still since we didn't try to use it earlier. So we're going to do this. We're going to tell them that it's not going to happen. And I'm going to hope to God that this draw step is a slip out the back. It's not. So that's unfortunate. So now if they have a Supreme Verdict, I am just going to get got by that. They do, of course. There's no shot they ever actually pay for it, but let's just do that and be a little cheeky. Yeah. Unfortunate. A slip out the back would have made that feel really good, though, because we would have been able to protect the Ascendant Spirits. And yeah, sure, the other two would have died, but I care a lot less about those. Now they have a 2-2. Okay, so I'm going to resolve my Shacklegeist here, and they can attack. That's whatever. I don't really care about that. If they play something crazy, like say it's a fairy, then I can probably use that as an opportunity to resolve one of these Nebelgast Heralds. I can also just cast a Herald anyway. Yeah, I'm just going to cast a Herald anyway. If they cast like an Absorb on this Herald, then that's fine, because that means that I'm not going to get the business end of a Shark Typhoon. A Geistlight Snare is actually not bad. I get to do this, and unless they have exactly Dovin's Veto, I'm protected with Geistlight Snare. If they do have exactly Dovin's Veto, then, you know, it is what it is. God damn it. I should not speak these things into existence. Go. Alright, so I'll take my 2, go down to 16. I'm not casting Nebelgast Herald so that they can just, like, Supreme Verdict me in the second main phase. But I will cast now. No, I'm just going to untap. Aw. So now if they play or cycle a Shark Typhoon where X is 4, I can Nebelgast Herald. But if they're just going to do nothing like this, I am super okay with that. They can Gry, I guess, and I can use that as an opportunity to resolve my Spectral Sailor, but they're not even going to do that. Okay, so that comes in tapped, which means I'm not concerned with them trying to resolve or attack with this turn or anything like that. I think I want to cast a Herald first because I want the Spectral Sailor to resolve more. Okay, and nothing's going to happen to that, so I'm just going to untap now. The land is actually pretty helpful. 7 lands. So 7 lands means I can play this for 1, activate it for 4, and still have exactly 2 for this. That feels pretty good. So if this is a Shark Typhoon, another Wandering Emperor. Oh crap, I just forgot about my Geistlight Snare and clicked the stupid button. Oh my god. Oh, that was not good. Oh my god, what am I doing with my life today? Yeah, go. Only downside of playing things online. Sometimes you can just click buttons too quickly and absolutely get punished for it. So realistically, oh god, am I even winning this game anymore? I don't think so. That was really bad. So if I do this and they respond with this, then I can at least Geistlight Snare and still draw my card. If they absorb this, then I think I'm going to move to the next game. That was really bad. That just... Oh, right. So I want the Reckoner Bankbusters and the Mystical Disputes. Do I want Shore Up? Not really. Cards I don't want in this matchup include the Shacklegeists are kind of medium, and I don't need all of the Nebelgast Heralds. So the Heralds do help to play a little bit around Shark Typhoon specifically, but it doesn't have really any other purpose. If we happen to see something like a Lyra or a Baneslayer Angel, then I will put the Nebelgast Heralds back in, but until I see those, I'm not going to do that. Instead, we can like lean on cards like the Reckoner Bankbuster to give ourselves the ability to keep up on cards. Okay, so let's go ahead and play first here. And a 1-lander with double COs and a Geistlight Snare. This is really sketchy, obviously, if I don't draw a second land. But if they play a tapped land and I draw another land, I'm going to feel really good. So if they go like Hallowed Fountain, oh, woo, like that. Like, now let's draw a land. Look at that, look at that. Always had it. All right, so let's draw a card and get ready to counter something with this guy's Light Snare. So if they try to cast like a March of Otherworldly Light or something on this, or a Portable Hole, then I'll be pretty happy to... Oh, that's good. That's good for us. Mausoleum Wanderer first. Let's see if they respond to that. They don't. That's good for us too. We're going to get to draw another card. Life is exciting. It's another land. Life is more exciting. So now all I really want is like a slip out the back so that we can protect ourselves against exactly a... Oh, look at that. Remember that time we asked about temporary lockdown? All right, get out of here. Oh, that's good too. So let's get ready to draw. Now let's see if it's a land. It is a land, which means I can play this, activate it, and be protected from Supreme Verdict since this is still like not a creature. So if they verdict me, so be it. I'm going to just draw the card with this. And the Mystical Dispute's also pretty decent here. So I'm just going to play my Ascendant Spirit. So now I've got a lot of things I can do with my mana, right? Like I've got the Reckoner Bankbuster to draw a card. I've got a counterspell, another counterspell, and then some more proactive stuff. And this has no jobs right now, which is lovely. So let's just do that. Draw our card. It's a land. I will also level this up and see if they want to do something about it. They cast Memory Deluge. That's pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to put a CO on this. Let's see if they want to do anything about that. Looks like the answer is no. I like that. So I'm going to attack with the Ascendant Spirit. Draw a card. See if it slip out the back. Nope, it's a Geistlight Snare. I want to do nothing. So with this 5 mana, I can level you up. I can draw a card and still have a counterspell. Oh no, because you're already a 2/3. All right. So let's see. Do I want you or you more? I think I want the Bankbuster more. So now I can still respawn with 2 counterspells here. What's this? Soul Partition. I will protect it. So let's Lofty Denial first because they have exactly 4 mana up. So that's going to tap them out of all of their mana if they just choose to like pay for this. And if they use an actual card out of their hand, okay, then I can use my Mystical Dispute. Yeah, I'm going to use my Mystical Dispute on this change the equation. Specifically to Dispute because I just don't know if I'm going to get another productive use out of it. And now, if they do something like a Dovin's Veto, okay, that feels good. Now you can't pay. Oh god, I don't have a flyer. Oh my god. Oh, this happens so often. I am so bad at... Oh, they cast another spell! They cast another spell for me. Oh my god, this is not the first time that's happened. So, this is not a flyer yet. The Lofty Denial, all they had to do was pay 1, and I was super screwed. But now we've just won the game. So what I can do is just like use Supreme Phantom and Supreme Phantom to crew the Reckoner Bankbuster. That's going to be 4, 5, and then that's the last point for lethal. So let's crew. Yeah. Wow. We got away with one, y'all. Now we've seen March of Otherworldly Light and Shore Up. So I am going to, or I'm not Shore Up, Soul Partition. I actually am going to put a couple of Shore Ups in that place. I don't think I want all 3 because so much of their stuff is sweepers like Temporary Lockdown and like Supreme Verdict. But I think a couple is probably a little better than Lofty Denial there. And once again, we have 1-drop Counterspell CO, so we're going to keep. And since they're on the play this game, it will be a little bit harder to just start the aggro train of drawing cards, but I do like the fact that it's at least an option. If we draw more lands later on, I'll be glad to CO and protect it with Rattle Chains. And speaking of the land, thank you, deck, for listening. So now let's see what they want to do with this turn. I do enjoy when they do nothing with their first couple of turns. That's always nice. So I actually am going to play a Rattle Chains here. So if I'm walking myself into just like a Supreme Verdict on the next turn, then like whatever already sucks to be me, right? But if not, then I get to start off with this, and I'm going to do it like this first because I want my Wanderer to be able to protect my Rattle Chains. If this is exactly a Dovin's Veto, that sucks, but everything else is currently okay-ish. Heavy emphasis on the ish. Okay, sweet. So it looks like we're going to get to attack. So let's do that. Get ready to draw a lovely card. Hope that its name slip out the back. It's not. And hope that they don't have a verdict now. If they do have a verdict, I'm still going to just... Okay, that sucks. I'm still just going to put Rattle Chains in because I do still want to be attacking every turn. And I understand... Oh my god, look at us go. Never didn't have it, I guess. So if they have another Supreme Verdict, then whatever, you got me. But like, I'm not exactly sad with this. Rather than playing the Bankbuster here, I'm going to keep up my 2 counterspells in my 1 creature. So if they just try to like, I don't know, Teferi or something, I'm covered. And if they don't, then I'm still at least kind of happy. Okay, so they do March for 2, so I'm going to start with the Geistlight Snare since they can't pay 3. If they have like a Dovin's Veto or something else, then I just play the other one. All right, good start, good start. And I'm not going to play the Spectral Sailor because I don't want to take my Counterspell mana. So I'm not going to play the land first because I could just draw a copy of Faceless Haven. So let's see if that's what ends up happening here. We don't, so I'm going to play this. And let's see, I'm going to Wanderer first. See what they have to say about this, if anything. Change the equation. I'm gonna let that slide, actually. And I'm gonna use this to resolve my Reckoner Bankbuster now. So I still have access to both Spell Queller and Geistlight Snare with my 1 mana, and that feels pretty good. If it's a Supreme Verdict to kill Rattle Chains, so be it. If it is a Teferi, I'm pretty happy to have this. Oh, no, 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 no. I mean, if you have a Dovin's Veto and can protect this, then, like, whatever, so you got me. But absolutely the F not if you don't mind. Okay, that sucks. But their Seed Shark is not resolving, and that's a lot more important to me. So here I'm simply going to not pop the clue yet and pass the turn. Like, I've got the Spectral Sailor, the Nebelgast Herald. I've got a lot of things to be able to do right now, and a lot of cards that I can draw. Okay, they played Otuar as a land? I don't know if I agree with that decision, opponent. I want to resolve my card first. So now let's check for Counterspell. March on the Bankbuster. So I'm going to use it to draw a card. Okay, that's going to resolve. I'm sad about that. And now I'm going to draw a card. We have another Bankbuster. Hell yeah, let's go. Do I want to make a land drop off of this maybe, or just attack? I'm just going to play this. So let's see what happens here. Nothing. Yes, that's good. They're going to cycle their farmland. Seems fine. They have 4 lands exactly. Make that 5. Ardenvale is actually low-key pretty good for them because they can use it to block this. So that's actually not bad for them. I want to draw with the Bankbuster rather than the Spectral Sailor. Ooh, that's good. I want to play that and... Oh, sick. So a few options existed, and I'm not going to go ahead and get off of the screen for a few seconds to explain them. So since I had the Castle Ardenvale, I had a few options. I could have played Nebelgast Herald first and used the 3 power to crew the Reckoner Bankbuster, or I could have simply attacked with this and held this in hand to play around the Shark Typhoon. Option 3 was animating Faceless Haven to crew the Reckoner Bankbuster by itself and present a bit of a more aggressive clock. And still another option was having 7 mana available, drawing with Spectral Sailor, giving me exactly 3 mana left over to both try to draw into something like a Curious Obsession while still holding, or like a Supreme Phantom or something more aggressive, right? Pre-combat, but still holding up the Nebelgast Herald the entire time. So we actually had a ton of options that turn, and I was in the middle of considering them all, but our opponent didn't really want to deal with it. So hooray, 2-0 so far. Okay, last round of the day. We are very good at die roll. My Lanta, that's terrible. All right, this is a lot better. So what do I want to do with this 6-card hand? I want to keep the hand, put back the Lofty. Yes, so this gives me some semblance of aggression here, and the Faceless Haven will help to keep that intact / provide, I don't know, virtual card advantage by just being a creature. Let's see what they have here. Consider. Okay, so they could be playing like some Arclight Phoenix build here. So, oh, never mind. Torrential Gearhulk. So that tells us that they're most likely playing something like Creativity. I no longer know what's happening, so I'm done speculating. I'm just gonna attack. Is it just like some blue-black control deck? Could be. That's much better for us than blue-white is. Ascendant Spear is actually pretty good too. So I'm going to play the land here, but I'm not going to attack with this, especially not against the Fatal Push deck. So let's go ahead and get an attack on here. And second main, I'm just going to play the Ascendant Spirit. So now I'm holding up both Geistlight Snare and Slip Out the Back, or threatening to level up plus still holding Slip Out the Back, or even Rattle Chains plus Slip Out the Back. So I've got a lot of protection against the type of removal that blue-black control decks usually play. I haven't seen one of these Torrential Gearhulk blue-black decks in a really long time. And it looks like they're considering a removal spell. What do we got? Children's Edict. Okay. Yeah, whatever. You can have the Shacklegeist. Don't really care about that against this style of deck anyway. So losing the little bit of clock / aggression is medium sad times, but I think I'm pretty okay with that. So I'm going to go ahead and do this and level up. They only have 1 black source, so if they want to Fatal Push plus, oh, that's fine. If they have like Make Disappear for the Slip Out the Back, then so be it. That's fine. So I think that was still like my best option for being able to use my Ascendant Spirit profitably there. Oh, that's nice too. So what do I want to do? Yeah, I think I'm just going to do this. So this does take down the Geistlight Snare, but I get to hit for 4. I have Rattle Chains to flash at end of turn and still threaten my nice aggressive clock here. And being able to do all of that before they start going buck wild on my face here with a bunch of removal spells feels pretty decent. So what do they want to do? Nothing. I like it when they do nothing. And I'm going to just rinse and repeat here, especially since if they want a fatal push here, then I get to protect my Faceless Haven with Rattle Chains, since the Faceless Haven is in fact a spirit. So let's declare attack, see if they do anything. Oh, Deluge. You can have that. I don't necessarily want them to have it, but like, I think letting them have that and saving my other stuff for next turn is probably a little better. I don't know, that could have just been wrong. I also, yeah, it could, I think I'm actually okay-ish with that. Not like super okay, but okay-ish. So now let's see what they get. Consider, okay, so that doesn't really mean anything to me. And I'm going to put the Rattle Chains in play. So if they have a counterspell for my Rattle Chains, that's fine, because it's a counterspell that they're not using for something a little more productive here. And with my double Geistlight Snare, that's fine. My Faceless Havens here are presenting a lovely little 2-turn clock. I actively love that. So that land drop specifically means that now I can attack and have just a 3-mana Geistlight Snare for next turn. So if they want to play like, I don't know, a Torrential Gearhulk or something scary, then I still am holding a counterspell. So that feels pretty nice, not gonna lie. And then next turn, if I draw another land, then I actually get to hold up both of these at the same time, not just one. That is another consider. Okay, a Supreme Phantom. Yeah, let's just make them have stuff with these 3 cards. We know 2 of them are considers, so I don't really care about those. No. Actually, I'm going to play this first and see if they want to counterspell it or something. Yeah, I think I'm going to do this. Okay, so now that I'm holding up double counterspell, I actually feel a little safer about my ability to maybe attack next turn. Yeah, I think this feels fine. Because last time I honestly just like miscounted. I thought I had 1 more mana available than I did. So my double Geistlight Snare line while still attacking with this was actually not a thing. Whoops. So now they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana available currently. Make that 8. And I actually hate the Field of Ruin for us here. You know what? I am actually going to use my Geistlight Snares on this. So the only card that it actually tags is the Supreme Phantom. But if they use a counterspell here and I get to tap them out of mana for this Field of Ruin, then I'm going to feel pretty good about that. Okay, so now we're both going to get a land. So I get a snow-covered island, they get a swamp, which means we're potentially playing around something like Fatal Push next time. But even that's still kind of okay. Like, I have another Geistlight Snare in hand, they still have to pay for this ritual if they want it to resolve, so my Supreme Phantom's still in play. So I'm still feeling pretty okay about this. Alright, well, let's try to kill him. And the way I want to do this right now is that this is going to their face, and this is going towards Narset. And the reason for that is just because, like, what am I going... Okay, yeah. So I'm going to tap you and you to try to Geistlight Snare this Fatal Push. And if this gets exactly another Fatal Push, then hooray, they live. But it looks like they're not going to. Sweet. So here we're going to do a lot of the same stuff that we did against the blue-white control deck, except this time I know that I want all 3 shore-ups, because unlike the last one where they had to play cards like March of Otherworldly Light and Soul Partition, blue-black gets to play really good stuff like copies of Fatal Push. So like they get to play actual real good removal. That also means I'm going to take out 2 of the Ascendant Spirits, because I don't necessarily want to pay mana into a creature that's relatively easy for them to kill. But if I draw an Ascendant Spirit on like turn 6 or 7, I'm still pretty happy for like 2 copies, but I don't want all 4. This hand is definitely going back. I am not confident in that. Oh, that's much better. So here I'm going to get rid of the CO. Yeah. So I've got an okay counterspell, a great turn 2 play. If this is a Thoughtseize on my Bankbuster, then yeah, sure, I'm a little sad about that. But if they're just going to shock and consider, I'm pretty okay with that. Ideally, over the next turn or 2, I get to start drawing... Oh, you know what? Okay. So what I'm going to do here is hold up Lofty Denial in case they want to just cast Narset on turn 3. And that gives me leeway to potentially draw a land. And I think jamming this Rattle Chains here is still pretty decent. If they get a removal spell out of their hand, great. Counterspell is actually even better because now I can just resolve this Bankbuster. And I'm not exactly happy about them potentially going like land into Deluge or something like that. But now I have infinite things to do with my mana, right? Like I've got a counterspell, I've got the ability to draw cards, and since they're playing blue-black, they don't... That's fine. Since they're playing blue-black, they don't have something like March of Otherworldly Light to get rid of this or temporary lockdown. They just gotta, like, hold that. Missing the land drops has Not been great, not gonna lie, but let's see if we can maybe... Oh, there we go. And I honestly don't even mind the fact that this can die to Field of Ruin. I really don't care about that part. I'm just happy to continue making my land drops. Okay, so they cycle X is 3. That honestly fucking sucks for me. But we can't really do anything about that right now, so it is what it is. So now I'm going to Spectral Sailor first, because I still have the 2 mana to draw a card. See if they want to use a counterspell on this. They do. I'm okay with that. So now let's draw a card and see if I can maybe hit a land. Nope. Yes. Thank you. I do want to play this. Okay. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for my turn. So the only thing that I was considering when deciding whether I want to play this or not was exactly this line here. So with 4 mana, what I could have done is left this in my hand and then used 1, 2, 3 mana to activate the Faceless Haven. If they activated this, then I could shore up on the Faceless Haven, giving this basically a dead land. But as it stands, I'll simply do this and then let that happen. So we're going to get a land here, and I've only got 6 cards in hand, so I'm pretty comfortable using my 2nd mana to just draw a card. And now I still have 2 mana up for all kinds of stuff. Okay, cycling a Censor, don't really care about that. But now we're only down by 1 mana because of the treasure token here, so I'm feeling fairly okay-ish. Not happy about the Shark Typhoon being able to block my big scary stuff here, but if that's the only thing I gotta worry about for right now, I will shut the hell up and take it. Are they being productive during their turn? What's happening? Oh, Meat Hook Massacre. That's scary. 1, 2, 3, 4 mana, and I don't have a flyer. So I'm just gonna level you up to a 2/3 then. Okay. I could shore this up to be a 1/1. I'm sorry, to be a 2/2 instead of a 1/1, but I don't think that's the play. I think I'm just gonna let my token die here. Oh my god, now that feels like a genius decision we made. Okay, so I'm gonna CO first, and I'm not gonna play the land first because we know that I could draw a Faceless Haven. So I'm gonna give myself the chance to draw that. Okay, pretty excited about that. It's not a Faceless Haven, so I'm gonna play my other land here. And a Bank Buster? No, I'm gonna play a Mausoleum Wanderer. So this way, I still have a few options with my turn here. Consider I don't really care about. So I still have Lofty, which is actually turned on now because of the Mausoleum Wanderer. I have Rattle Chains plus Lofty. I've got Shore Up. Yeah, we've got lots of options here. A Fatal Push. I want to think about that choice. So if I Rattle Chains first, then they can resolve a Ritual of Soot. Oh, no, they can't. They don't have 2 black sources anymore. All right. Where's Rattle Chains? There's a Sabotage. Okay. And well, I'm going to let them Surveil first before casting the 2nd Rattle Chains. Okay. Because I want their decision about the Rattle Chains to be not at all informed by their... I don't want them to know what to Surveil for. There we go. That's what I'm trying to get at. Words are hard. So I've got 2 cards in hand, and another one could be another removal spell for this. A Jawari Disruption. That's kind of cool, actually. All right, you got me. So now they're going to gain another life, go to 17. They can attack if they want to. And now I can resolve any number of things still here. So I'm... Oh, hey! I was looking for you earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and attack for my 1 and just resolve a whole bunch of shit here. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to resolve my Reckoner Bankbuster and my Ascendant Spirit. All right, this is fine. Oh, whoops. Actually, no, I think that was okay. I suppose I could have attacked for exactly 1 more, but I think I'm okay with it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so here's what I can do. I can draw a card with this, and if they try to resolve this, holding up 1 mana, what I'll do is I'll shore up my Mausoleum Wanderer, try to make it a 2/2, and then use the 2/2 to counter this. So let's see if that's what ends up happening here. Okay, and Memory Deluge is not going to get to draw them cards anymore. However, I'm going to get to draw with my Bankbuster. Nice. All right, so now that we have real life plans and options and things, I have 7 mana. You can be a 4/4, leaving me 2 mana. I think I do want to do that, actually. There. So now my Shark Typhoon concerns are not really that much of a big deal. I can still draw cards with the Bankbuster, and my Loft Denial is actually like a counterspell, not just like a, I don't know, a do-nothing force spike. My option B of like Faceless Haven still feeling pretty good. Oh my god, am I just stupid? I'm just fucking stupid. They have a Hailstorm Giants. Oh god, I'm bad. I feel bad. Well, time to go to game 3, y'all. Oh my god, I'm so bad today. All right, well, I guess everybody can make mistakes, right? So if they attack with only Hailstorm Giants trying to play around a blocker like a Spectral Sailor, then I do get to live at 1. And I'm going to hover over my lands because my opponent can see that I'm hovering over my land. And maybe that tricks them kind of into only attacking with the Hall of Storm Giants. And it's not like that's a really, like, I guess a crappy thing to do or like a angle shoot or anything, because you're certainly allowed to bluff in real life too. Don't take it though. So we die. Let's go to game 3. That was... Oh, eBay. All right. So do I change anything to account for typhoons, or do I just let this rock like it was? I'm going to take out the Ascendant Spirits, put these in, and let's see if this time I can draw a little bit more of an aggressive hand. That'd be nice. The Bankbusters have been feeling pretty great, though. All right, so I do want to play first, and look at that! Ask and receive, right? Well, let's do this, and then see if they Fatal Push me on turn 1. I hope not. Please just play like a Fetid Pools tapped. Watergrave tapped. Take those. Thank you, opponent, for being so accommodating. Wow. And we draw Lofty Denial, which will be pretty good next turn, but this turn I've got Geistlight Snare and Mystical Dispute, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. And let's get an attack in. Oh, my Lanta, we're just doing the thing. The Shore Up's pretty good, too. Nice. Nice. So I do want to see 1 or 2 more creatures in the next couple of draw steps here so that I can keep kind of the pain train going, but I am certainly not complaining about this. Oh my god, that's even better. Let's get another attack in here. Draw a card. It is another island. I actively like the land drops here too. So a combination of just like some number of creatures or Bankbusters all makes me fairly happy here. If they decide to cycle a shark for 2 rather than casting this Rattle Chains, I think I'm just going to shore up here, making this a 3/3. And that'll give me 4 mana to play with on the next turn, meaning that I can cast like Lofty plus Rattle Chains or something similar. I will take the same line as we discussed last time about this versus this, where I can do 1, 2, 3, activate using the 3 snow mana that we just made, and then shore up here, untapping it and protecting it from Field of Ruin. So now they've killed off their land, my land is still here, and I have 2 mana for a counterspell still. Go. What an absolute blowout. Or as the kids say, get fucked, nerd. Drawn and a lock. That's a pretty good one, actually. So I want to use my Rattle Chains. So this way, if they have a counterspell for the Rattle Chains, then I get to use the Mausoleum Wanderer to counter their counterspell, meaning I still have a threat here. And that's exactly what's going to happen. So I'm going to do this, counterspell to change the equation, since I can't do anything about both the drown and the change the equation at the... Yeah, pack it up. Sick. So yeah, good times all around, right? Nice $30 deck. Okay, so 3 rounds are over, and we played against a lot of islands, right? But they were all very different islands. So the first match against Blue-White Spirits was just absolutely intense, right? Like, we both had Shacklegeist things going, there was lots of combat, lots of math that needed to be done, and we got to win that match primarily because of just like the experience that we have playing this deck, I believe. Like, if you don't necessarily know how to navigate things like your Shacklegeists and your Nebelgast Heralds, then winning the creature matchups can be pretty difficult. And just like any other mirror matches can be pretty freaking hard. So it's totally worth your time to just like jam against a fellow Spirits player so that you can have that experience, especially with Azorius Spirits becoming really popular in both the Explorer and Pioneer metagames. So I think that's worth your time to kind of put the effort into, or put the reps in versus. We also got to play against both blue-black and blue-white control decks, which I actually enjoy for this video here, because even though they're both control decks and they are both trying to have the same basic plan of like plays lands, grind you out with removal and counter spells, eventually finish you with a giant threat. Well, we saw both of those things try to happen from our opponents, right? Like, we saw Shark Typhoons, Torrential Gear Hulks, Wandering Emperors, and just like 45 million removal spells and counter spells, including Change the Equation, which is really great against us in both of those decks. And we ended up being able to just use the various tools at our disposal to, well, dispose of them. And it came up where, like, really just all parts of the buffalo, if you will, ended up coming up, right? Like, we used every single creature in this deck to just huge advantages, right? Like we Supreme Phantom to erase some turns off of a clock, and we got to double Supreme Phantom to crew up a Reckoner Bankbuster and finish an entire match with it. Shacklegeist and Nebelgeist Herald came up huge in the Spirits Mirror match. Rattle Chains came up pretty huge, especially against Blue-Black Control just now. Ascendant Spirit did a lot of really solid work against both Blue-Black and Blue-White. And then Mausoleum Wanderer and Spectral Sailor just did their things carrying Curious Obsessions the entire time. Faceless Haven, both as an offensive threat and as a way to play around Field of Ruin, came up huge in our matches too. So there isn't a single card that we weren't able to make big use of in just 3 matches, which really tells you how good every card in this list is. We also just didn't have to deal with things like Hallowed Fountain, Watery Grave dealing us damage, or like our Blue-White Spirits opponent, we didn't have to worry about cards like Hallowed Fountain, Glacial Fortress, and Deserted Beach coming into play tapped because of how extremely simple our mana base is. Never, ever comes in tapped, any of these. That's great for us. And other than the Aether Gusts here, we used every single card in our sideboard today too. Like, we got to use the Witness Protection to lock down Shacklegeist, and that definitely won us the game against Blue-White Spirits. Shore Up came up really big against Blue-Black Control just now. Nebelgeist Herald was pretty good. Mystical Dispute was good in all 3 matchups. And Reckoner Bankbuster was great against both control decks. So there literally isn't a single thing here that doesn't have at least some application or great use, and that's exactly what you want to see out of a deck. Once again, when you consider that you can get this entire deck for like $30-$35 on Magic Online, or $80 to $85 in real life, that is insane value. We got to have great game against both a very high win rate aggressive deck in Blue-White Spirits and a very high win rate control deck like Blue-White Control, and we absolutely handled them with our $30 tools. So I definitely recommend more people pick this up, even if it's just like as a secondary deck or a deck that you just want to have on standby, because it's so low investment to pick it up, right? So I think I would suggest doing that to everybody watching this, because just for such a low investment, why would you not pick up a deck that's this great? But that's going to be enough of rambling about this. Let me know if you liked everything that you saw in both the gameplay and the deck description today. Try to put a little bit more work into scripting it so that it's more organized. So let me know if that worked out for y'all. Anyway, that's enough for today. If you liked what you saw, make sure to click like on the video. Let me know. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I do love having y'all. And I'll see y'all on the next one.